Limited. Good morning. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Nothing $1 million couldn't solve, but in the absence of that cold hard cash, all is certainly well. The weekend is here, and so we're grateful. A chance to kick our feet up. I don't know if you have a restful weekend planned.
Well, I hope so. I mean, man plans, but your plans can be
That is very true. Even looking at the
something
weather.
can happen to your plans. You know, you may plan to be at home and do this and do that and probably rest, and then something comes up and then you don't stay at home and you have to go and attend to all of those things. So I hope nothing of the sort happens.
Okay.
But, I'm looking forward to having a restful weekend.
We see what happens. It sounds as though you have 2 funerals, 1 engagement, and a possible wedding on the horizon. It's very possible. Well, the Ghana Publishing Company Limited has launched Gazette 360 to tackle the growing problem of fake gazettes in Ghana. Now, this isn't a problem that I was aware of, but your head tell us more about that. Let's kickstart the conversation off this way. When we talk about gazettes, we hear it quite often. What exactly are we referring to?
When we talk about a gazette, the gazette is how do I describe it? It's an official legal bulletin of the government, which is used to publish important notices.
Okay.
That's essentially what a gazette is. It's also a way for citizens of this country to also give legal effect to certain things that they do. For example, name changes, correction of their dates of birth, taking on different names, among other things. So that's essentially what the gazette is. It's an official government document that gives legal effect to a lot of the things that government and citizens want to do. And this has a constitutional backing, right? I'll give you an example. If you go into Article 11 of the 1992 Constitution, for example, it talks about the laws of Ghana, and it talks about what the laws of Ghana are: the constitution, enactments made by parliament or under the authority of parliament, any orders, rules, and regulations made by any person or authority under the power conferred by this constitution, existing law, common law. It goes on to describe all the laws of Ghana. Now, when you come down to clause 7, it talks about any order, rule, or regulation made by a person or authority under the power conferred by this constitution or any other law shall be A, laid before parliament, B, be published in the gazette on the day it is laid before parliament, and also, come into force, blah blah blah. So this tells you that the constitution gives the gazette this legal effect. There are other portions of the constitution which say, for example, that before a bill becomes an act, even after the president has assented to the bill, it has to be published in the gazette before it takes that legal effect. So all of this tells you just how important the Ghana Gazette is, and it's a document that we believe that every single Ghanaian out there should have a working knowledge of, because we have realized that a lot of people do not necessarily know what a gazette is. There's a situation. In fact,
I'm getting some information this morning. I just thought when we talk about gazette, it's just about, when you change your name and then you say, is this gazetted? But it goes beyond that.
Yeah, it goes way beyond that. It's a very important document when it comes to governance in this country, right? So, like I mentioned earlier, it is the state's official record. Laws, regulations, appointments, legal notices, public announcements, all of those things become public and legally effective when they are published in the gazette. Right? So even before there's a holiday that is declared, a state of emergency that is declared, a legislative instrument, an executive instrument, all of that has to come into the gazette before it takes legal effect. If it is not published in the gazette, it doesn't have any legal backing. And there are quite a number of things, that a person can gazette. For example, change of name. That is for normal individuals or citizens of this country. You want to change your name, correct your date of birth, correct your place of birth, confirm your name and date of birth, licensing of a place of worship, appointment of a marriage officer, change of name of a chief or queen mother or family head, even lotto numbers and the lotto forecasts.
I see.
Yeah, it has to be gazetted, all the legislative instruments and what have you, and official notices for all agencies. Even there's something we call a local government bulletin. which is for the MMDAs, the Metropolitan Municipal and District Assemblies. And essentially, when they are posting their bylaws or their fees and charges and all of that, it has to come into a gazette. So they want to say increase the market toll from 1 city to 2 cities. They want to charge a parking fee at this particular place they have dedicated for parking. They have to announce all of that. And all of that has to find space in the gazette and be published. Otherwise, the assembly does not have the legal mandate to do so. They cannot charge the fees. They call that one a local government bulletin. So it's a whole lot, you know. And we want citizens of this country to know this, because, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of people do not know what it is. They believe that it is this strange document or legal document that lawyers use to do this and to do that. But it bothers on everyday life.
Right.
Let's say my name is Akusia Menu and I want to change my name to Priscilla Menu. I'll have to have the Priscilla Menu appear in the gazette. Otherwise, legally, I am still known as Akusia Menu. If I got married and I wanted to take my husband's name and be called, let's say, Mrs. Opoku.
Okay.
Maybe I'm called Mrs. Charlotte Boating, and I've married Mr. Opoku, and I want to be called Mrs. Opoku. I would have to find the Mrs. Opoku or Charlotte Opoku in the gazette. It has to be in the gazette before it takes legal effect. Otherwise, you are still known as your maiden name. You know, there are a lot of people who believe that once I get married and my husband's name is this, I can just take on my husband's name and start using it in official documents and all of that. There are a lot of people who do that, but that is dangerous because officially you are still known as the name you've always been known by. Sometimes even the arrangement of your name, right? There are some people who, for example, went to school up to SSS and then they had one name which is on all their certificates, and perhaps they got into the university, they did a master's, and they changed their name, so they have a different name on that certificate. If a situation arises, you need to go, for a vetting somewhere, an interview somewhere, you're applying for something outside of the country and all of that, and you need to present your certificates. How do we know that the person who went from GSS to SS and the person who went from, let's say, university and did a master's are the same person? Because there are two different names on the certificates, and there are two different name arrangements on the certificates, even though it may sound the same, right? You would need a gazette, it to be stated in the gazette that A and B are the same person before that legal effect can be given. Otherwise, you are still known as that particular name. And even with what I've just described, it could bother on impersonation. It could land you in serious trouble. There is also the issue of marriages, for example. It would interest you to know that there may be a lot of people out there who think that they are legally married, but they are not. Because a pastor who blesses your marriage has to be a gazetted pastor. If he is not, and he blesses your marriage or he performs the marriage ceremony, your marriage is not recognized by the law. Your marriage is void. Exactly. And if the place you got married, the church in which you got married, is not a gazetted place of worship to hold these marriage ceremonies, your marriage is not legally recognized, and you could find yourself in serious trouble.
That's certainly a lot to think about.
Yeah, so there are a lot of people who think they are married, and perhaps before the face of the law, they are actually not married because the pastor probably is not a gazetted pastor.
Now, is that something that actually comes up, that crops up, that you see? I mean, this happens.
Yes, it does happen.
I see.
It does happen. We get quite a number of cases in that regard. And, the effect of all of this is that when a situation arises and there are legalities involved, you find yourself wanting. I'll give you an example. Let's say you got married to your husband here, and your husband went abroad, and you want to go and join your husband abroad. And your husband has to prove that he's married to you here. And then you get abroad and they need to do verification. Sometimes embassies call us.
Okay.
The passport office calls us, the NIA calls us for verification and all of that. And then we check in the Gazette records and we realize that, look, your name is not there as Mrs. So and so. Perhaps you were using the name Mrs. So and so, but we check it is not there because it's not being gazetted. Or the pastor who blessed your marriage is not gazetted, or where you held the marriage ceremony is not a gazetted place. That lands you in serious trouble. And elsewhere, people equate that to, the authorities there equate that to identity theft or marriage fraud or whatever. And there are a lot of people who have been through this kind of trouble just because they did not know that these things exist, or you have to have a place you got married gazetted or the pastor gazetted. Even with the Islamic marriage, before an imam will bless an Islamic marriage, the imam also has to be a gazetted imam. Otherwise, they have no rights to do so. So gazetting is a very important thing in our governance in this country. It gives, like I mentioned, it gives legal effect. Essentially, the document that gives legal effect to things that government does. So in a nutshell, that is what the Gazette is.
Right.
Yes.
Now let's talk about fake gazettes and how big of a problem that really is. Who is being hurt the most in that instance?
So with fake gazettes, anyone who is in possession of a fake gazette could land in serious trouble because you are in possession of a forged government document. And to be in possession of a forged government document can attract serious sanctions. You could land yourself in jail. And in some of these instances, ignorance of the law really is not an excuse, because if you find yourself on the wrong side of the law, whether you knew or you didn't know, it is the law. And once the law grabs you, you really will find it difficult to wiggle yourself out of it. That's why a lot of people out there should beware about fake gazettes. There are quite a number of ways that people forge gazettes, right? Sometimes they get a copy of a gazette and maybe someone wants to do a name change or someone wants to do a correction of a date of birth. They didn't come to the Ghana Publishing Company Limited, and someone by the wayside somewhere said, I can get a gazette for you, and they trusted the person. The person probably charged them way more than we would have charged them.
Right.
And then gets a gazette, looks at the page, takes one page out and prints their own page with the person's name that they want to find space in the gazette for, and then put it in and then give it to them as a gazette. Now, the effect of that is the document has been forged. So say you go to the passport office and you want to do your passport, and let's say your name was this and now it is this, and then that discrepancy is there. You have to go with a gazette to accompany it, and then they get the gazette at the passport office, and then they realize that this gazette is a fake one and the name change in there is inauthentic. You land yourself in serious trouble because they will call the authorities to come for you. And we get these calls from the passport office all the time.
I see.
You go to the National Identification Authority, you want to do something in relation to your Ghana card, do a name change or something of the sort, and you present the gazette because you think you've gazetted the name and so it has legal effect, and then you realize that it is a fake gazette. They call us, we come in, we verify that it is a fake gazette. You find yourself in serious trouble. In the last week alone, we're dealing with about 4 cases of fake gazettes where people have landed themselves in serious trouble. I mean, just the day before yesterday, there was a case which we reported to the police where someone wanted to do a correction in the gazette because they felt that their name had been spelled wrongly and the arrangement of their name had been done wrong in the gazette, and so they wanted us to rectify it. We went into our system. We found out that it was a fake gazette. It was a completely forged document that was done for the individual. We had to call the police in to take this individual away because he was in possession of the fake gazette. In essence, he would have to assist the police to find the real culprits, the one who did the gazette for him. Otherwise, he being in possession of the fake gazette with his name and everything in there is the one who is going to be found culpable.
But he believes that to be a genuine document.
He believes that to be a genuine document because you paid someone to do it for you. But then the ignorance of the law is not an excuse. That's why I'm saying it's a real danger for a lot of people out there. That's why we are doing the Gazette 360 public education, to help people understand what the gazette is, to help people understand the processes that you need to go through to get a gazette, and to let people understand that it is very, very easy to get a gazette. It is
go
not,
to the source.
Yes, go to the source. It's not a difficult process at all. People, because of the bureaucratic nature of a lot of our processes here in this country, like getting a driver's license or a birth certificate or a passport or whatever it is that you want to get, people are used to giving people money, knowing somebody in there who you can pay before you get the documents and all of that. That does not happen at the Ghana Publishing Company Limited. So we want to demystify that. It's a very simple procedure. You come in, you pay, you show us what you want to put in the gazette, we do it for you. And usually in all the cases of getting a gazette, the steps are, first of all, let's say I want to change my name.
Right.
You need to go to a commissioner of oath and then do a statutory declaration. That is what they usually call the affidavit.
Okay.
That I used to be known as Lantam Papanko. Now I want to be known as Zacchaeus Papanko. Right. So I do that statutory declaration from the commissioner of oath. There are licensed, certified commissioners of oath. I do that statutory declaration. Then I bring the statutory declaration to the Ghana Publishing Company Limited, and then I pay the fee that I need to pay, and then they put it in the gazette for me. And once it is in the gazette, it takes legal effect, and then I can be known as the name that I want to be known as. Let's say there is a mistake or a discrepancy in a certificate. Let's say I did a master's degree, and even the arrangement, because that could also land you in trouble. The arrangement of your name is not done properly, or there's a mistake, but you already have the certificate. So you still do a statutory declaration that if you see this on this certificate, it is the same as this person. You bring it to us, we do the gazette for you. If you want to take on your husband's name, the process is quite similar and all of that. The difference is with perhaps the local government bulletins and the places of worship and the pastors. For a pastor, for example, if you want to be gazetted as a pastor so that you can bless marriages, the church which you pastor, first of all, needs to apply on your behalf to the Attorney General that we have this pastor, that pastor, that pastor. We want them to be in the gazette. Then the Attorney General gets the list, looks at it, vets it, and then refers them to the Registrar General's department to do a little bit of training for these pastors. Then the Registrar General's department will send a list of all the pastors to be gazetted on behalf of, say, the Methodist Church, the Presbyterian Church, the Catholic Church, you name it, and then bring that list to us. Or you, after going through the training, can also come to us. They can give you a letter and you bring it to us, and then we will put your name in the gazette. If it's a place of worship, you apply to the district assembly, metropolitan assembly, municipal assembly where your church is located. Now they will come and inspect your premises and certify, is this a good place of worship? Do they have enough parking space? Are the washrooms clean? Is the auditorium looking good? Can it hold ceremonies and all of that? Once they have certified that, they will just forward your church to us, and then we will put it in the gazette for you. I mean, if you're a chief or a queen mother or a family head, and you get an extra from the National House of Chiefs, plus a statutory declaration, you bring it to us, and then we do the gazette for you and all of that. And going through the gazette process, like I mentioned, is not a long and cumbersome bureaucratic process.
As you've said, you just go to the source and follow these procedures.
Exactly. So if anyone out there tells you that they can do a gazette for you, they are lying to you, and they are putting you in danger, at real risk of being in possession of a fake gazette, which could land you behind bars. So
because as you say, if you are ignorant of the law, it's certainly no excuse. 2 more questions, and then we'll wrap up on this very important conversation. If you suspect that the gazette that you are in possession of is fake, what exactly should one do? You should immediately call the Ghana Publishing Company Limited and then bring that gazette for verification, and then we call the authorities, and the authorities deal with it, or you can directly report to the Ghana Police Service. Okay. Yes, if you suspect. And because we don't want people to fall victim to the issue of fake gazettes, we have introduced some new security features to the gazette. So I have in my hand here
a gazette. I don't know if your cameras can capture it, right?
For those of you watching us on Facebook, also on YouTube, take a look at the screen.
So it used to be all black and white, but you realize that with this, the Ghana Gazette title on top is in a gold color. Now that gold color is not just any gold color, it is unique only to the Ghana Publishing Company Limited. The blend of gold.
Okay.
The exact blend of gold is unique only to the Ghana Publishing Company Limited, and nobody can replicate it. So if you pick up a gazette, that's the first thing that you should be looking out for. It's a security feature, and we have our ways of authenticating and verifying it with our UV lamps and all of that. And when you open the gazette, you see that there is a unique watermark in it.
That's right.
That used not to be there, right? But now there is a unique watermark. It's not just any simple watermark. It's a special kind of watermark which has a security feature in it, which is going to make it a lot more difficult for people to forge the gazette. These are some of the security features that we have introduced to make the gazette more foolproof and much more difficult for people to forge. And so these are some of the things that you should be watching out for. And note that you should only deal with the Ghana Publishing Company Limited. We have offices in Accra and in Kumasi.
In Accra and Kumasi.
In Kumasi. In the case that you are not in Accra or Kumasi,
I was going to ask if I'm all the way in Ulo.
Exactly. You go to the post office because we have a working relationship with the Ghana Post.
All right.
To provide gazette services to those who are unable to reach our office in Accra or in Kumasi.
Right.
That is the only agency that we deal with. We don't deal with Goro boys. We don't deal with middlemen. We don't deal with commissioners of oath. We don't deal with anybody. Deal only with the Ghana Publishing Company Limited. Otherwise, you could find yourself in serious trouble.
Lantam, before I let you go, your final words in about a minute or so. Why, again, is this important for us to know? What is it that you want every listener to take away from this initiative, Gazette 360?
Well, I want every listener out there to know that, like I mentioned earlier, gazetting is not a cumbersome process, and the Ghana Gazette is a document which, if you need to put any information in, you go to the right source, which is the Ghana Publishing Company Limited, right? And when you come, because now we've even introduced a 24-hour service. In fact, the Ghana Publishing Company Limited was the first company to start operating under the 24-hour economy system.
I see.
The very first. We started all the way back in March. 3rd of March is when we started. So we're the first government institution to do so, right? And it used to take about 8 weeks, 7 weeks to get a gazette done for you. Now, because we are running 24 hours, the most time it will take you to get a gazette is 3 weeks. And that is the regular gazette. 3 weeks if it is not time bound for you. But if it's time bound for you, we also have a special service called the Premium Gazette, where we get it for you in 3 days. You pay in 3 days, you come back, you pick up your gazette. If 3 days is too long for you, you can get it in 24 hours. You come today, you tell us what you want to be in the gazette, your change of name, your correction of date of birth, your husband's name, whatever it is. The next day, you come and pick your gazette. So that is what the 24-hour service has enabled us to do. We've been able to have the time within which we do the gazette for you. And so
certainly,
I would just like to say that you can visit our website, ghanapublishing.gov.gh. You can also send us an email, info@ghanapublishing.com, or come to our offices. We are right opposite Novotel, Accra City Hotel in Accra. In Kumasi, Bompata, just around the Prempeh Assembly Hall, opposite the Prempeh Assembly Hall in the SIC building. That's where you'll find us. You can also, of course, visit us across all social media platforms.
Certainly. Thank you so much for your time. I want to say this properly. Lantam Papanko.
Yes, Lantam Papanko.
Lantam Papanko
is
the Corporate Affairs Manager, Ghana Publishing Company Limited. Thank you so much for this much needed education this morning. We'll certainly go directly to the source. Thank you for your time once more. Time check, it is some 12 minutes to the top of the hour, 9 a.m. This is still 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Very shortly, we're getting into our big conversation. And we have some pertinent issues in our Focus